Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Rodriguez from Career Services in our inaugural episode of Connecting Keelhaulers, a video series where we talk with Cal Maritime alums about their career paths. Today, we are pleased to be joined by Justin Meyer, mechanical engineer from the class of 2002. Justin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Justin has served as the Deputy Director of Acquisition Programs in the United States Coast Guard, having joined in May 2020. Prior to this role, Justin served for 17 years in the U.S. Navy and received his master's degree in engineering management from the Catholic University of America. And with that intro, let's dive into the first question. So first question, Justin, is what do you do in your role as the Deputy Director of Acquisition Programs with the Coast Guard, and what is the path that you've taken to get there?
Thanks, Ryan. No, it's a good question. Happy to be here and hopefully shine a light on maybe some non-traditional paths that some CMA alums have had. So yeah, my journey is a bit different. As you mentioned, my current role is the Deputy Director of Acquisition Programs of the Coast Guard. So in that role, I kind of oversee all the acquisition programs for the Coast Guard, around a $2 billion annual appropriation budget from Congress that covers all of our surface ships, all of our aviation assets, both rotary wing and fixed wing, as well as all of our C5I, so our communications equipment and everything else that goes along on the ships as well, navigation, things like that. So really broad portfolio, still coming up to speed a little bit on it. But prior to that, as you kind of mentioned, I spent the last 18 years or so supporting the U.S. Navy. I started on active duty, as a lot of people, I think, around my time frame was so my senior year, 9/11 happened. I was on campus there, and so I think, like a lot of folks, was compelled to join the military, and I did. I was commissioned in the Navy as a surface warfare officer, and served my first tour on an Arleigh Burke destroyer out of San Diego as an anti-submarine warfare officer. Then completed nuclear power training, and then was in charge of the operations of the reactor on an aircraft carrier stationed out of Norfolk, and did multiple deployments on her. After the Navy, I really got into acquisitions, starting out as a contractor, doing a lot of stuff for kind of advanced technologies with the Office of Naval Research. Again, nothing that I think most CMA alums will find themselves doing, but hopefully we'll change that. And then actually got brought in doing foreign military sales for the Navy as a government civilian, which was really interesting, coordinating with multiple embassies, the State Department, as well as the Department of Defense, on what assets we were going to be able to deliver and build for partner nations. So a lot of international travel, which was great. Some of it was great, some of it wasn't. I was actually in Egypt when in country when they overthrew Mubarak. So that was another story for another day. Yeah, story for another day, but quite interesting. But really got a global feel for that, and kind of interagency working with State Department and others. And then I moved into more big acquisition programs on the Navy, the Zumwalt class destroyer and the littoral combat ships, and did that for a while. I was also lucky enough to get selected to be a defense fellow, and served a little over a year on Senator Collins' staff, senator from Maine, doing everything from defense policy, security policy, and even learned a lot about Maine blueberries and potatoes, supporting the Farm Bill, which was really interesting. And
I'm sure you didn't learn that in your classes here at Cal Maritime.
That's right. The Farm Bill and the blueberries. I think I slept through that class. But no, it's interesting road to get to where I am. But it was great.
Awesome. Yeah, no, and that kind of leads into the second question that I had is, What initially got you interested in mechanical engineering when you're coming to Cal Maritime, and then kind of as you went off that, you've kind of done a bunch of different things, so got you interested in pursuing the career path that you've taken up until this point?
Yeah, I think that what really got me interested in mechanical engineering is really the getting to understand the core engineering principles and disciplines, and that kind of problem solving mindset and kind of pragmatic approach to solutions, to understand the assumptions of kind of what goes into a problem, and kind of be able to think things through. And I think that's been great, a huge vital part of my career to date is really taking, and not just on the mechanical engineering side, but also with the hands-on kind of approach and that Cal Maritime provides. I think it was hugely beneficial to apply that to real world applications, to really ingrain that, not just get the thermodynamics answer to a problem, but really understand how that works in diesel engine, and think through, okay, well, what is the symptom, and what's the core problem, the underlying problem. And I think that's been really beneficial. And you can take those kind of principles and apply them to almost anything, is I guess kind of what you've seen from my career to date, is having that fundamental philosophy and principles and thought process and problem solving. I think has been hugely beneficial. So
nice. So then, and you're kind of touching on that already, but Cal Maritime kind of specifically preparing you for the Navy. Do you remember kind of things that that you learned from there that you were able to take into enlisted service, that kind of helped you out there?
Yeah, no, that's a great question too, and I think a lot of it is the ability to work as a team. Right, you generally don't get that. I mean, maybe on some, at Cal State Hayward or something, you may work as a team on a project or something, but really having that team mentality and being able to work in a team, standing on watch, or and getting that mentality, and not just within your engineering watch team, but understanding how important it is for the deck guys to not run you aground, right? That's a key component of anything, and for them to trust that us engineers are gonna make sure that we provide the maneuverability, the power to safely navigate the ship. But that interdependency, that teaming environment is something coming out of the gate. I think I saw myself as a little more advanced than others coming out of kind of more traditional college experiences, as well as getting to be in a bit of a leadership role, right, within the division and 4E. So having that kind of leadership role, I think is well, I think served me well, and got me on a good foot, in the Navy as well, but really throughout my career.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, we've in student affairs, we've been talking about how to really emphasize the value that the Corps brings to not only licensed track students, but also non-licensed track students. I think leadership is a pretty unique thing that you're not going to get kind of ingrained in your curriculum and culture at a school, other schools compared to Cal Maritime. So
yeah,
definitely cool. Moving on, what do you feel like now are some of the more relevant, first we'll touch on technical skills first, some more relevant technical skills that you've seen in your role now that have kind of carried out throughout from Cal Maritime all the way up until where you are now?
Yeah, I think that really gets back to, I think some of the stuff that I was kind of mentioning earlier is that really pragmatic system of systems kind of look and approach to a problem. And it doesn't have to be an issue with the diesel engine, right? It can be, what is the problem, and how you think through that kind of fishbone diagram approach of, all right, what are all the things, and what's the root cause, and what am I developing the options, to address that. I think is, and having that real fundamental, technical basis, kind of to leap off from, I think was hugely beneficial. So you have all the core understandings and that technical basis to make those informed decisions, but you also have that framework and problem solving model that is really ingrained, and not just in the textbooks that I think any engineering student can get at any college. Really having that real world practical application aboard the ship, I think really is it ingrains it. It builds those that muscle memory in your brain of how to get after a problem. That step-by-step approach, I think, has really been something that's been foundational for me in my career.
Gotcha. And kind of on those same lines, and you keep mentioning leadership and problem solving, which I think are a great selling point for our campus. Any other transferable skills that you feel like you learned from Cal Maritime that you took into the professional world that really set you up for success?
Yeah, I think too is, Cal Maritime obviously it's a small group of folks. It's a very networked group internally. Building those networks, right? You can't be successful in industry, in any industry, without understanding that interpersonal relationships and stuff. And I think in a smaller campus like that, I think you get that than if you're in a Berkeley, when they have, I don't even know, 50,000 undergrads. I mean, honestly, it's just a
crazy
random number.
Uh-huh.
That right, it's harder to build. Maybe there are small pockets, but it really, I think, at Cal Maritime, that building those interpersonal relationships, understanding how that works, I think is hugely beneficial in any industry, in any field that CMA alumni go into.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, when you're at the big school, it's easy to stay in your silo almost. You
That's
don't
right.
have to ever step outside of your comfort zone. Where Cal Maritime, it's
That's right.
I mean, it's not a huge outside your comfort zone, but yeah,
That's right.
it's there and it's easier to step out, no doubt. All right, moving on to like advice now that you might give to students, and kind of particularly in the past that you've taken going into the Navy and the Coast Guard as well. What would be some advice you would give to students interested in kind of either one of those career paths?
Yeah, so I would say too, we get a lot of, and maybe it's just me being in DC and in headquarters here. We have a lot of, we at the Department of Homeland Security and the Coast Guard, as well as previously at Department of Defense and in the Navy, there's a lot of intern programs that we have, both summer and career paths. And we get people from all over the country generally that are applying for it. And we get folks from Kings Point that applied for it. We've gotten SUNY folks in Maine Maritime. I have never in my career seen one from Cal Maritime. And I think it's one of the reasons I wanted to kind of do this is selfish plug on, right. There's really good opportunity, and it's not just in the DC area, right? So we have units everywhere. We have coasties right there at Meyer Island working on Coast Guard ships right now. We have folks up in Seattle, San Diego, Honolulu, right? I mean, just it's really a global presence the Coast Guard has, and so and obviously with the Navy too. So if you're interested in getting that program management, engineering, acquisition approach, right, I would encourage you to kind of reach out to me. USA Jobs is a major thing that we post a lot of positions on, but or just Google, right, internships at the Naval Sea Systems Command or U.S. Coast Guard headquarters, right? Because there's a lot of opportunities out there. And again, some of these summer internships, they can be, just a few weeks, 6 weeks or so, give you a taste. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but it's something on your resume. It's something different. So I would just, get out there, get out of your comfort zone, because you might find you like it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually one of the nice things is the San Francisco Coast Guard office, the liaison to Cal Maritime, is one of our commandants as well,
Okay.
who also, so for any cadets that are interested, Commandant Konnecting would be a great on-campus resource as well to go and talk to about any Coast Guard related interests you guys have.
Right.
Definitely. All right, round out last question then. What advice would you give to cadets that are preparing to go through the application and or interview process?
I think the first thing is prepare like you would for your license exam or your a final. Take it seriously. There's I've sat on hundreds of interview panels in my career, and you can tell who's put in some preparation work and who hasn't. So think through some questions that you may have heard or talked to other people that may have had interviews or thought of, and just kind of think through your head, what those questions may be, what your answers would be. Again, so just kind of do some of the pre-work, really review and understand what job you're applying for, right? You should tailor your questions in your application, your written documentation to the job that you're applying for, and not just have a standard approach or standard application for any job. Make sure it's tailored to what that person or company is really looking for in somebody that's applying for the position. I'd say, be confident, obviously not cocky, but confident in your abilities. CMA alums are highly skilled. And so be confident that. Highlight some of the benefits that we kind of talked about earlier about a CMA grad over a standard. I guess I shouldn't say standards. I don't know what a standard college experience is, but
it's not like Cal Maritime. I know from working at other colleges. I know it's not like that.
But yeah, I mean, just highlight that. In the old adage, like body language matters, eye contact matters. What you wear matters. People pick up on those nonverbals, so be aware of them. And make sure you're kind of looking and dressing and acting the part. But yeah, I think in general, be authentic, be conversational, don't be too robotic. But yeah, be authentic. I mean, be you. They're hiring you as a person as much as you're what you wrote down on a piece of paper. So make sure that the real you kind of comes through in those.
Definitely, and I'll make a shameless plug here that Career Services does interview prep. So if you guys apply for a job and want to come in, we can talk about the job that they applied for, and tailor practice questions to that, and how to answer them best based off of, like you said, who they are as a person. I think that was great advice. Be conversational and not robotic. You can think through the answers as much as you want, but when it comes down to it, they're all people business, and we want to feel comfortable with the people that we're working with, for sure. So that rounds out the questions. I know you said cadets could contact you if they were kind of interested in learning more about the Coast Guard. Do you have your email, and we can share that with them?
JT Meyer, like J as in Juliet, T as in Tom, Meyer, MEYER 78@gmail.com. That's my personal email address. So yeah, if you have questions or comments, concerns, interested in an internship or anything else, please reach out.
Awesome, and we'll share that when we post the video too, so they'll be able to look at it. But again, Justin, thank you very much for being our first guest and sharing your very unique journey. I think that's it's great for the students to hear that it doesn't always have to take the paths that are probably most spoken about, for sure.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ryan.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Have
you.
a good one.
You too.
All right. Bye.